Hi, this is Kendra.
I'm Olivia.
And Josh.
And you're listening to Our Music Oddcast. Today, we are going to talk about something that's actually pretty current and happening right now. Go ahead and take it away, Olivia.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to talk about Keyon Harrold, who is a jazz musician, trumpet player, and what happened to his son on December 26th. So, first, Keyon Harrold is an American Grammy-winning trumpet player, composer, and producer. He was born in Ferguson, Missouri, and was one of 16 children. His family prioritized music and community across generations. His grandfather was a retired police officer that founded a local youth drum and bugle corps. Both of Keyon's parents were pastors, and all of his siblings are performing singers or musicians today. He has listed Miles Davis, Prince, Dr. Dre, Jay Dilla, and Common as influences. He moved to New York at the age of 18 to attend the New School after he performed with Charles Tolliver as part of his big band for a 2006 studio album called Love, and a live recording called Emperor March live at the Blue Note in 2007. He released his first solo album in 2009 and had already made a name for himself in New York jazz clubs. He played on albums for Jay-Z, Beyonce, Maxwell, Mary J. Blige, Joss Stone, Gregory Porter, Mac Miller, 50 Cent, and many more. He toured with Cirque du Soleil, their Michael Jackson, The Immortal Tour that ran from 2011 to 2014. He provided all of the trumpet playing for Don Cheadle's Miles Davis biopic called Miles Ahead in 2015. The film won a Grammy for Best Compilation Soundtrack, and he played trumpet with Common in 2016 for his Tiny Desk performance at the White House for the NPR series. His second album, The Musician, was released in 2017. And in 2020, he contributed to Bilal's live series recordings for his EP Voyage. And this was all created remotely during the pandemic lockdown, and proceeds went to suffering for financial hardships for musicians during the pandemic.
Dude, can we just talk for a second? Listen to that freaking list of
I know.
things
Yeah.
he's done. That is incredible.
In like a short time, he's already, worked with the best musicians out there. Yeah, won a Grammy.
Crap. That is quite the accomplishment.
Yeah. Okay, so the incident...
It'll be popular.
I know.
It's all work stuff. Nobody likes me.
So the incident happened on December 26th. Keyon Harrold and his 14-year-old son, Keyon Jr., stepped into the lobby of the Arlo Hotel on their way to go have brunch. And these videos are all online that I'm going to talk about, so you can go watch them for yourself. Soon after they, walked through the lobby, they were confronted by 22-year-old Miya Ponestto and the hotel manager. Ponestto is telling the manager that young Keyon has her phone and is telling the man that the phone is hers because she recognizes the case. And Keyon Sr. reassures his son that he doesn't have to explain anything to her, and then asks, are you kidding me? Because it seems like they were totally blindsided by this woman and the manager walking up as they're just trying to walk out of the hotel.
Right.
And it seems like they're handling it very well. And he says, do you think there's only one iPhone made in the world? The whole time, Ponestto is getting closer to Keyon and his son, Keyon Jr., and pointing her finger at them. And she wants them to show her Keyon Jr.'s phone so they can prove that it's not her iPhone. And his dad, Keyon Sr., says, no, go get a life, and tells her to use the Find My iPhone.
Find My iPhone app or whatever it is.
Yeah, the app on her phone. She says that she has it turned off on her phone, and he repeatedly tells the pair that they can't take Keyon Jr.'s phone. The hotel manager then asserts that he's the manager of the hotel, and Keyon Sr. says, I don't care, this is my son. He then points out that they just saw him and his son come down the stairs out of the elevator. The hotel manager says that he's trying to help, and that Keyon Sr. explains that he isn't helping and he's actually being very disrespectful. Keyon Sr. is trying to explain to them why their actions are wrong, and Ponestto and the manager just aren't getting it. Keyon says, "My son has nothing to do with her." Ponestto is screaming at the Harrolds to show her the proof.
She was being incredibly aggressive too.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the start.
Yeah.
And
it was she marched up to them, was putting her hands on this 14-year-old child. Ooh, I was heated when I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then she says, "He's not leaving. Show me the proof." And Keyon Sr. says, "Are you kidding me? You better get on." Just trying to get her to leave them alone. Because the manager is, approaching them, and he has a laptop in his hands. I'm not really sure why. But they're, crowding them and trying to prevent them from leaving the hotel. The hotel manager then calls security on the Harrolds in an attempt to stop them from leaving. Ponestto steps even closer to the Harrolds. Keyon Sr. once again reminds her to get on. And he's, kept his cool way longer than probably, I would have, or, most people that I know. And she pushes herself in front of them and screams that she's not going to let them get away with her phone, while Keyon Sr. is asking if this is because she sees two black people. She then lunges at Keyon Jr., and Keyon Sr. tries to block her, and she falls over during the attempt. And he even apologizes to her when she falls over. She gets up, screams that she can't let them have her phone, and lunges at Keyon Jr. again. And finally, Keyon Sr. sternly says, "Listen, get your hands off my son." The video ends there, but the surveillance footage then picks up and shows her attacking Keyon Jr., charging at him while he tries to avoid her attack. She wraps her arms around the boy and almost throws him into the glass doors and then tackles him to the ground. While Keyon Sr. tries to separate the two and protect his son, she scratched him. And the whole thing is just really gross to watch.
Yeah, it's
completely
it's a sad,
unnecessary.
Social.
Yeah, I remember, seeing this before they'd identified the woman, the day that it happened, and thinking, kind of what a psycho. This person's attacking a kid that she doesn't even know actually has her stuff. I don't even think if I saw someone actually take something of mine that I would confront them like that. Especially,
Maybe not that aggressively.
No, I would never attack a kid. I wouldn't attack a person.
There's a gray area for me where I don't understand why she thought the kid took it.
Right, because they get off the elevator, they walk through the lobby.
Because the kid was never physically close to her. How did he get her phone, or why did she even think that?
And why was
she didn't pickpocket her?
It's obvious because he said it. It's she picks out the one black teenager there. I don't know. And I mean, maybe it wasn't racially motivated. Maybe it's just him being a teenager. But we've had an entire year watching all of these Karens be reckless and do all of this horrible stuff and being, held accountable for their actions.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Karens videos are racially motivated, so I guess I'm just assuming that hers was too, and that might not be a fair assumption, but just my blood boils with people with the audacity to treat other humans like that.
Right. I remember one where this kid is just delivering for Grubhub or DoorDash.
Join the club.
And this woman won't let him in the building. She won't even let him up to push the button to get in. And he has all the right information and even tells her, and she won't let him near the door because she assumes that he's up to no good. And it's this really nice kid. And that she probably just picked him out because he was black. And which I can't say for sure, but it seems in the video, I don't know, Kendra, did you see that one?
I've seen so many on TikTok. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he takes the time to repeatedly explain to her, and he's trying to contact the person who put in the order so they can tell her, and she won't even let him do that. And he's trying to just do his job. And Josh, you do delivery for DoorDash and Grubhub. How much does that fuck up your day when you're trying to make a delivery and you if something would delay your delivery, then that can mess up you getting money.
Yeah, time is money out there. 10 minutes is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, and
anytime I have to contact support for any issue or I have to contact the customer, it's not good.
Yeah, and this kid keeps his cool the whole time, which I don't think I would, but yeah, anyway. So By December 29th, the family, the Harrolds, along with their lawyer, Ben Crump, started a petition to get charges filed against Ponestto for, attacking
Physical
their
assault
son.
or whatever,
Yes.
Well, he's a minor. I mean,
Yes.
even if he wasn't, you don't just like manhandle somebody or
No,
try to.
You don't. They held a press conference on 12/30/2020 in front of City Hall. The petition had already...
Why did they need a press conference? I don't understand.
I guess kind of to tell their side of what happened, because nothing was being done at this point. There were no charges against the woman. It was just, something that happened at this point, and she was walking around freely. And I think
feel like they could just go to the police with the video and be like, look, this girl, we have evidence of this.
I don't know if at that point they'd already tried that.
Yeah.
If they'd already communicated with the police and nothing was happening. I don't know. But, they held this press conference, and then by January 4th, their petition it hit the 100,000 signers.
100,000 YouTube views.
Yeah.
There you go. That's what got us signed.
But on 12/31, they finally identified the woman, because at this point they didn't know who she was. It was just a random lady from a hotel. And she was arrested then on January 7th. Yeah. And that we'll talk about that too. But on January 7th, Keyon Sr. released an op-ed for USA Today about racial profiling and racial bias. And you can get that link from his Instagram page, or you can just find it on the USA, or what's it called? USA Today website.
Just curious, didn't New York pass some legislation too after that lady called the cops on the guy for bird watching because she wouldn't leash her dog or something?
I think you're right. Yeah, that was a horrible one too.
I wonder if that falls into that,
It might.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awful too, because in that video, this guy's just sitting on a bench feeding birds. He's a bird watcher. And this woman who had repeatedly had her dog in the park, breaking rules, it was unleashed, and it was, kind of running around wildly. She gets mad at the guy because he gives her dog a treat. And then she calls the police on him and says that she's being attacked by a black man.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
That's just outright lying, I guess.
It was, yeah. And it was crazy because... Luckily, the guy kept his cool the whole time, and the police officers that arrived on the scene, handled it really well. They didn't try to arrest the guy, and they actually saw the whole thing through before,
They
assuming
didn't cuff him,
that
throw him
something
on the ground,
happened.
and step on his neck immediately, right? That's how it usually goes.
Yeah, so luckily that one ended up okay, and she, it was found out that she put in a false police report. But luckily, the guy was smart enough to get it all on video too.
That's if he did, I don't know. What would have
I
happened?
know.
Right?
That's what's so scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So since Ponestto's been charged with attempted robbery, grand larceny, endangering the welfare of a child, attempted assault, which I don't know how it's attempted. She did assault him. She has prior arrests, 2 DUIs, and 1 for public intox. And I think from what I saw online, this all happened in 2020. She actually got her second arrest for a DUI while still on probation from the first.
Dang.
Yeah.
Quite a
So
rap
she might be
sheet.
a little unhinged.
Yeah. 22.
Yeah, or she just doesn't... I mean, you can see from interviews with the woman and just how she's reacted since this all happened, I mean, even just the video where it happened, that she's extremely immature, and she just doesn't seem to think that she should have any consequences for her actions. There's an interview with her, with Miya Ponestto and Gayle King for CBS, and her lawyer, Sharon Gatan. And
I watched that video, and
oh my gosh,
good,
the
yeah.
girl was just absolutely she was trying to defend herself, but there was nothing. It was just a mess. The interview was a mess.
Yeah.
It was a mess. Yeah, she cuts off Gayle, mid-sentence when she brings up that she accused a boy who never had her phone. And it's funny because she still is accusing Keyon Jr., saying, maybe it wasn't him. And then she questions how her phone miraculously appeared after she had stepped out of the hotel and then stepped back in. And she's kind of insinuating that the Harrolds, specifically Keyon Jr., did have her phone and just gave it back to the hotel, and then they were all like trying to cover it up. I don't know. It's really weird when she says that.
Yeah, and like definitely like still firmly believes that he had her phone.
Yeah, and it's funny to watch her lawyer at many times during the interview because, you know, when she like puts her hand up and stops Gail from talking, you can see the lawyer look over at her, and I think she's saying stop it because she's like, oh my gosh, like I'm watching this unfold and there's nothing I can do.
It's too late.
Yeah.
Run.
Yeah, she said also that the Harrolds didn't seem to be too bothered by the attack because they still ate food afterwards, which is
Right,
strange.
Yeah. Oh, just...
Yeah,
So I
she
did
says
not eat
that
lunch.
they weren't bothered by it. And she never says that she, like, attacked or, you know, assaulted this kid. She just says that she accused him. So she's saying that they weren't bothered by her accusation and that she... because they enjoyed a nice meal. I don't know. It was
Yeah.
just strange.
If it wasn't a
Wanna
nice
play
meal, then
off
it would have
like
been okay.
wasn't like a big deal, and that she wasn't like totally traumatizing a 14-year-old.
I know. Yeah.
Like that's what kills me. And she's like, her response too is she's like, well, I'm only 22 and I've lived. I mean, we've probably lived
Right,
about
lived
the same amount of life. It's like, bitch,
Right.
you're 22. He is 14. You were almost double his age. Like, what are you talking about?
Right. So after,
Shut up.
you know, after the age of 14, you can get a license. You can, you know, you're old enough to vote. Then you can eventually, you know, you can have adult relationships. You can, I mean, not that you can't before that, but usually you know, start having adult relationships at that point. And then, you know, you can start drinking at 21. So she's trying to say that they're at the same level somehow, even though she's,
No.
you know, lived many years past the age of 14. Yeah, and it's funny because her lawyer talks about how, you know, part of the reason that's happened is because she was a woman alone in New York and she was scared, and that she, you know, she was cut off from everything because she didn't have her contacts, she didn't have her email, access to Wi-Fi. And the funny thing was, like, she left the hotel to go to Starbucks. So she obviously wasn't, and she got an Uber to do this. So she wasn't too afraid to, you know, be a woman alone in New York before that, but suddenly now, you know, she is. And, you know, when they try to ask her how she felt after seeing the video footage of herself, she, you know, shuts Gail down again and says that she already explained that. And she says that because she's Puerto Rican, a woman of color, because she's part Italian, Greek, Puerto Rican, that it can't be racism. Her actions weren't racist because she's a woman of color. And Gail challenges her statement saying, you know, just because you're Puerto Rican, you can still be racist.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if
People
she
of
was
color can
if
still
she
be
was black,
racist.
do you think she would have asked her that question?
I think anybody that assaults a kid is going to get questioned on why they attacked a kid.
And then, like, well, yes, but like, would she have brought up the race thing? Like she
Well,
did.
I mean, if it-
and then
Definitely
she's like,
brought
well,
up,
you
like,
can't be
during
black,
the
you can't be
assault.
racist because
So
you're
I
black.
think it
Would
was
she
a
have said
relevant
that? Like, I
question.
don't know.
Well, I think if it was a black person against a black person, I don't think that race would have been an issue then, because
That's what I'm saying. Like,
But do you get what I'm saying? That, like, if you're the same race, you're not going to say that it's because of racism. I don't know. I guess I'm...
Right? Exactly.
well, I mean,
I know
if she was
I know
white,
you're saying
they
it-
definitely would have brought up the race thing like immediately.
Well, it does seem like it plays a role here. I could be
Yeah.
wrong. That's just my personal opinion.
I'm just asking. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
As a white woman, I just sit back like and try to listen and learn because I don't know. But from a lot of the things that I've been seeing recently, I mean, it seems like if somebody perceives that it's racially motivated, I'm just going to listen to the people who have, you know, suffered racism and listen to them. So
I agree with that.
yeah.
I do think that I also need to mention that she's wearing a hat that says daddy the whole time during the interview. Did
Yeah.
you guys have any comments about that?
I wasn't even looking at that, but you're right. I don't know.
I
The
didn't
whole
even
thing, like,
notice.
she
That's
just looks like the
hilarious.
next, like, Cash Me Outside person or whatever that is. You know what I'm talking
yeah.
about? It's just like, that's what it felt like.
Just like these obnoxious young
There's
women.
going to be, like, memes about it if there aren't already. I don't know. Just obnoxious. Cash Me Outside, yo.
Yeah. Yeah, and, Gail tries to ask her what she would do differently, and she says that she would have just, gone to the manager to handle the situation. And then, it's like as soon as you think that she's starting to act human in any time in the interview, then she quickly says that she and Keyon Sr. should have both handled it differently because she was saying that they both shouldn't have raised their voices at each other. And when you watch the video, he doesn't really raise his voice until the very end when he's like telling her to get off of his son. The rest of the time, he's just responding to what's happening.
Psycho.
Yeah, and I think he kept his cool.
Like they were just minding their own damn business, going outside, and crazy comes up and just starts berating them, and it was a mess. Like
it was.
There's no way that she's solely the reason that all of that happened. Like her pretending like him not raising her voice. Like she was already about ready to assault that child when he raised his voice. Like what the hell?
Yeah, she'd already at that point,
or she had already physically put her hands on his kid. Like,
and she, stopped them from leaving the hotel. Like that's weird enough on its own. She's, holding the kid, like not allowing the kid to leave. Like that's just super weird.
I mean, back to my whole point about the gray area. Like, why was she so convinced that this kid?
I know.
Because if you're about to throw a kid through a window, like you're pretty convinced. You're not just like, well, maybe he's got it.
She said.
I mean, she might just
in interviews.
Completely
Well,
insane.
actually, her lawyer said in interviews that she would have stopped anyone at that point that walked through the lobby, which doesn't really make sense. Like, why would you think because someone? I do want a good explanation.
So if an old lady had walked down, she would have thrown an old lady up.
They said that.
Maybe.
They said like if it would have
I
any person
guess,
that which. Yeah, I mean, everybody believe what they want. I have my opinion. I don't, I can't say for certain. Yeah, her lawyer, I guess, had to confront her during the interview, and they had to edit this part out because she was being, as we all saw from it, really ridiculous. And she, they do keep this part in where she's saying that the situation is much bigger than what Miya is appreciating, and saying that she sees it as a very simple act. And she continues, like I said, to offer the excuses that she was a 21 or 22-year-old woman alone in New York, and that she was worried about her flight information and her contacts on her phone. I want to know why she was in the hotel, because from what I've seen online, she wasn't actually a guest there. Keyon and his son were. They were there for a 3-week stay while he's doing work. And I don't know, I've never seen why she was in there exactly, when she realized that her phone was missing. Was she, sitting somewhere in the lobby, and that's why she thought that maybe he walked by and grabbed it? There's nothing to explain this part of it online. So when and if this actually goes to trial, hopefully we get a little bit more of that information. Or maybe she just flew off the handle, noticing that her phone was gone, and just started freaking out on anybody that she got.
I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have enough information.
I just find it too convenient that she went after the first black teenager that she saw.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
I agree.
Convenient.
And then when it's brought up how the phone was actually returned by an Uber driver, Miya says that her phone was actually returned to her by the hotel, and it was by the hotel receptionist, and she is pretty much saying that the Uber part of the story isn't true, even though her lawyer was the one that first said that the phone was returned by an Uber driver. So
the girl brings up a good point. She's like, ask the hotel desk clerk, like, interview that person. Where did they get the phone?
Yeah, it's just funny because her lawyer's the one that released the information about how it was returned by an Uber driver. So
I just want to know
don't
what
know
happened.
why that changed.
I
know. I know.
Well, like we saw with the assault or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But I want to know what actually happened and what led up to that, and why someone was so aggressive.
Yeah, Gail points out that, Ponestto seemed to have no remorse, no contrition, and that she's also almost flippant about the situation. And she, brings up that the kid was traumatized by the situation, and she jumps right in and says, "I'm traumatized."
Yeah,
and
what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's so hard to watch. And then she says, finally, from the bottom of her heart, she's sorry. And then that's when she brings up the part about they're pretty much the same age, and that she has lived just the same amount of life
She
as
acts
him.
like she's 14. I don't
like, the saddest part about that whole thing is, like, you can tell that the only part that, like, she nailed of the apology that was planned, I'm sure, for that interview was, like, literally just the first sentence. And then all the rest of it was just trash. And it's like, obviously she wasn't sincere about that apology either.
No.
Because she's still being defensive.
Yeah. She then gets mad during the interview, and she's saying that she's not going to answer any more questions, and then she just wants a real heartfelt interview with sincere apologies, and she says, let 2020 be the moment of healing. And Gail gives her the floor. She, kind of hands it over to her and says, what do you want to say? And she says that she's sincerely sorry to the family and to the dad and son for coming off as racist, that it wasn't what she intended. And then it stops. But yeah, it's just hard to take any of that seriously when she keeps not accepting responsibility.
Was, like, contrary to that, it's like, obviously she doesn't give a shit. She's not sorry.
Right.
Yeah. And they question.
And obviously she doesn't take, like, any repercussions for her actions seriously if she's keeps on doing dumb shit.
Well, I mean, with got a DUI while having a DUI, it's just like doesn't care.
And then a public intox at another hotel.
Whatever,
So some sort of incident at a hotel. Again,
she's just hanging out in hotels, like throwing people around. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, the Harrold family, so Keyon Sr. and Keon's mother, Kat Rodriguez, who's also a musician. She is a saxophone player.
Kat Rodriguez, with a name like that, you have to be a musician.
I know, and she's a singer for Beyonce.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
They saw that interview and they were asking them what they thought, and they said that, that it didn't seem like a very sincere apology, and that it shows, her sense of entitlement and lack of character, which I believe. And that, throughout the situation, her behavior has been tragically consistent, which also agree with. And the mother in that situation mentions why this has been hard on her son since it happened. And he, can't get at, around this time, he can't get on his phone without something about it coming up. And it had to be embarrassing. You're attacked by a woman, you're a 14-year-old boy, and you kind of want to be invisible at that point. You don't really want people to bother you or to stand out. And that was completely surprised by this woman, and that he did ask his parents why she singled him out and why she thought that he did it. And, they do believe that it was because he's a black boy.
I think so too.
Yeah. And the thing that I keep thinking about is, when, like, you're at a park or someplace where you see a kid do something bad, like, usually the first thing that, if you can in the situation, if there's a parent around, you go to the parent and you say, like, oh, your kid's throwing mud at this kid, or, something happened. And she didn't even value Keyon Sr. enough as, like, the parent or the father figure in the situation to accept his answer when he says, no, you're not going to look at my son's phone because he hasn't done anything. He has no reason to show you his phone. Like, they don't know if she's trying to steal the phone and say, like, oh, this random kid has a phone, but it's has my phone, but it's really, when she's trying to steal. They don't know what's happening there. I don't think that they needed to show proof that it wasn't her phone, because there was no proof showing that they'd done anything wrong. But yeah, just the fact that she didn't take him seriously as a parent, I think that also kind of shows possibly some racism there too. I could be wrong about that, but that's just my opinion. So after...
that's how I was perceiving things as well. Yeah.
After the interview, they also tried to get the reaction of Miya Ponestto's lawyer, Sharon Gatton, and she said, I started to question her well-being, and I'm genuinely concerned for her mental health at this point. I told her to stop. I was adamant, and I was stern. She was making me feel uncomfortable and everyone else feel uncomfortable, and it was enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said, yeah.
Yeah. And, it's bad when even the lawyers talking about how uncomfortable she was made in the situation. It's just always a shit show with this girl. On January 7th, when police finally arrested Ponestto in California, she verbally and physically fights the arresting officers.
Surprise!
Yeah. While the officers trying to handcuff and detain her, He has to take her to the ground to get her to stop. She's arguing that he's detaining her for no reason. And her mom rushes up behind the officer screaming, "No, my daughter." And the officer tells Ponestto's mother to get back repeatedly while Ponestto is threatening a lawsuit. Another officer jumps in to help and has to physically push the mom back repeatedly because she just keeps charging them. And while the officers are handcuffing Ponestto, her mother, she just is screaming in the background and, keeps trying to get into the situation and saying that her daughter didn't do anything wrong. Miya is rolling around on the ground screaming and isn't allowing the officers to handcuff her. They repeatedly tell her to relax. She then tries to halfway get up and says that she didn't do shit. The officers are trying to get her to stay down while she fights repeatedly. And she says that they're, just using their manpower against her. And she says something about the one officer's wife, and it almost sounds like something about your wife in the trunk, but I couldn't understand what she says.
Sure.
They start walking her out to the car, and the mom charges at them again, and she has to be stopped while Mia's screaming, "What did I do?" And her mom is just yelling "why" over and over again. It's why. Yeah, it's awful. They're being very nice and just asking this woman to step back.
Yeah.
And then she's on the ground and she won't allow them to put her in the car. And you see her shoes laying on the ground because she'd kicked them off at some point. And she's screaming at the cops, telling them that they're a joke and that there are gang members out there killing people right now and that they're arresting a girl. She screams, "Please, I'd rather stay," and says that she has the right to talk to her mother. And the officer says, "No, you don't."
"Please, I'd rather stay."
Yeah, they repeatedly tell her to stop. She then demands the officer's name, which is funny because the first thing that I saw about this whole story was, Soho Karen attacks kid in a hotel, and then the typical thing that a Karen does is, she asks for the name of someone so she can go to the manager.
Yeah.
And she's asking for this officer's name so she can, turn him in and get him in trouble.
Right.
And it ends with her screaming,
a lawsuit coming on.
"Why am I under arrest?" I wouldn't be surprised if this lady does anything. She tries to countersue the Harrolds for some reason, or, tries to sue the cops. It's wild.
Punitive
I don't
damages.
think anything will surprise me with her.
Yeah.
She obviously already has the audacity.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the mom might be crazy too, and it's going to be like, "Yeah, let's do that. Let's get a lawyer and sue everybody."
I know. Oh my gosh. Well, you wonder how she ended up that way. I think that probably...
I don't know her mom. I shouldn't say anything.
No,
I don't know her
but
either,
her behavior in the video was ridiculous. Continuously charging at police officers when they're just trying to... all you have to do is sit back, let them arrest her quietly, and then go down to the police station.
You're under arrest.
They already have a lawyer. Yeah, and it's not like they put a hood over her head and shoved her into the back of a car.
Waterboarded her, hopefully.
Yes. Yeah, it just seems like this just keeps getting not better, but just more and more keeps happening in the situation.
I think it's getting
to keep
better.
It interesting.
This is entertaining.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the family because it doesn't seem like they're enjoying the drama at all out of the situation, but they just want the right thing to be done. They held a second press conference on January 11th, 2021 at City Hall to stand united against racial profiling. Since the incident, Keyon Sr., Kat Rodriguez, and lawyer Ben Crump and The Color of Change have started a new petition to hold the Arlo Hotel and owners Quandrum Hospitality accountable for their role in the situation. Because I actually agree with this, even though it was an employee acting out. We don't know, what they train their employees to do, but something that, maybe they should have trained them better. They put out an apology, and I'll read it really quick. The day after it happened, and it says, "We're deeply disheartened about the recent incident of baseless accusation, prejudice, and assault against an innocent guest of the Arlo Hotel. In investigating the incident further, we've learned the manager on duty promptly called the police regarding the woman's conduct, and that hotel security intervened to prevent further violence. Still, more could have been done to de-escalate the dispute. No Arlo guest or any person should be subject to this kind of behavior. We want to apologize to Mr. Harrold and his son for this inexcusable experience and have reached out to them directly to express our sincere regret." and to offer help in dealing with this traumatic event. We are committed to making sure this never happens again at any of our hotels. And I don't know, it's easy to put an apology out on, out in the news. I think that, maybe they should talk about their plans on how to make sure that this doesn't happen again. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like they're doing enough. And they seem to minimize their employees' behavior during the situation, how he is demanding that the boy hands over his phone, how he's stopping them from leaving the hotel, and how he calls security on the Harrolds, not the girl at first. Maybe he did after she tackled the kid to the ground, but first he's getting security involved so they don't leave the hotel. And that's unacceptable.
Absolutely.
And this second petition that they put up, it at this point has only received 26,000 signatures of the 100,000 that they're trying to get. And we're going to put a link in our profile, and we're going to, there's also a link that you can access from Keyon Harrold's Instagram page. And if you look up Color Change, I guarantee you could find the petition there, but we're going to make it easy for you to find this. You can also text Keyon, Keyon, to 55156. That's Keyon to 55156 to get access to the petition as well. There was a peaceful protest organized by the family and their lawyer, Ben Crump, on Saturday, January 16th at 4 of the 11 hotels owned by Quandrum. And this was held at their New York, Chicago, and 2 in Florida. So they want to make sure that this doesn't happen again and want, like I said, the hotel.
How dare you assault someone with money?
To be held responsible.
Show you what happens.
No, it's not assaulting someone with money. It's assaulting a child.
Oh, I know. But the family had money so they could actually make stuff happen. Whereas a lot of people, it's like, what are they going to do?
And that
how many times
has
this something similar happen where it's like nobody could do anything about it?
Where there's maybe not a parent there and not somebody to jump in right away. Yeah, and that's one of the things that Keyon Sr. says, that there's so many situations that happen where a parent isn't present or somebody isn't present to stop the kid from being harassed by police or a person or someone at a hotel. Yeah. And he's saying it's, this is why we need to make sure that we do better so this doesn't happen.
Right.
Yeah, hopefully this will set some kind of precedent, or you can, reference this and be like, look, this needs to stop.
Yeah, I completely agree. And one other thing that Keyon Sr. said, he was injured during the whole struggle with the woman. And he, at one point, she's charging at the kid, and he's trying to block her, and she falls down to the ground. And he said that, that black men, and I do agree with this, that they have to play a perfect game every day. If they do anything, if he would have, pushed her down to the ground or held her down in any way, he probably would have been arrested.
Yeah.
And just trying to protect his kid and stop her from attacking him. But I do, I see his point there, and it shouldn't have to be that way where someone that's completely innocent walking through a hotel has to worry about their conduct when their child is being attacked by someone. Or, just a person walking down the street that's accused of something with absolutely no proof. Or, like we talked about, the guy that's just sitting in a park minding his own business when this lady isn't following rules. We need to make sure that this stops now.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I definitely agree. I mean, it's ridiculous. And the fact that this is just one of so many
just this year.
But also, I feel like it's getting the attention it deserves because he is a well-known musician.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I hate that that's why it's getting this much attention, but I'm also glad that hopefully other court systems and other people will see this as a learning experience.
Yeah.
On how to handle this type of situation, because it's fucked up and no one needs to worry about their kid getting tackled by some crazy lady.
I know.
They don't. Fuck that. It needs to stop. And it's just how many weren't filmed?
Right.
It's insane. So
that, and even after she attacks the person and puts out a half-assed apology, she's still trying to insinuate that there was something shady done on their part when she's saying, that maybe, or that her phone miraculously showed back up, and she's kind of insinuating that they still took her phone.
Right.
And she also even
so.
says that she thinks at one point that they're lying about the kid's age, which is super weird.
Oh, yeah. She's
Why?
like, okay, I mean, like, she definitely didn't believe that the kid was 14.
He looks like a 14-year-old kid. If you see him.
I don't want to unpack that.
I know. Not that it would, I mean, what if he would have been a 14-year-old that was 6 feet tall? It doesn't matter. Like, you still can't attack a kid.
Right.
I don't know.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it really is. But this, at some point, is going to go to trial. She's going to go to trial first for her second DUI charge, and who knows what's going to happen there. But it will be interesting to see how this all plays out in the future. If this is going to go to court, if she's going to try to settle before, or, you know, what else is she going to give any more interviews?
That also makes me question, like, was she wasted during this altercation?
Right.
I don't know. That's true. I didn't even think about that.
Probably. Yeah.
She put a little something in her
Not
Starbucks.
being drunk, so.
Yeah.
Irish up that
And drunk in
Starbucks
hotels.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, maybe she had some liquor with her brunch before.
That's right.
Right.
Mimosas.
No.
Mimosas
Yeah.
and cantaloupes for brunch.
Never heard of mimosas and cantaloupes. Is that a thing?
I don't know.
I have heard now a new thing that you can try is you get, because the mimosa is champagne and orange juice, right?
Yeah. Basically.
I heard the thing is to try it with lemonade or like lemon or lime juice. I heard that's really good.
Oh, you add lemon or lime to the mimosa?
No, you don't put orange juice in at all, and you just put lime or lemon juice, lime juice, or lemonade. And instead, it's supposed to be really good.
I could see lemonade, but lime juice would be lemon juice would be real.
Maybe if you're just like, I just assumed in that situation it'd be like a splash.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
I'm thinking like a 50-50.
Yeah.
Lime juice.
Yeah, that would be kind of hard to.
That's right, man. They're smoking Tide
I
Pods
would drink
and
some
drinking
sparkling lemonade with some champagne. That sounds delicious.
I know. Maybe we'll try that when we record next time.
Count me out.
Yeah.
Maybe whenever we can do these face to face again.
I know, which we're hoping really soon. It seems like in our county that it's starting to go down a little bit, at least. So
Start
there's
a press
hope.
conference, a petition you can sign to get Kendra back.
I know. I want Kendra
in
back.
person on the podcast.
Yeah, it's
put
been
a link to that.
interesting trying to record over the phone.
Yeah. Yeah, and, completely, not related to this, we did want to let you guys all know that we do have t-shirts finally, and we're going to put them up online. And we have some other merch that is going to be available.
Look great.
Yeah. Really cool.
No lie, they
We
look
worked
really
with local company United States of Indiana. You should check out their site. They have all kinds of fun t-shirts, or you can get your own design made.
Oh, is it Fort Wayne company?
No, it's not Fort Wayne. It's Indianapolis, but
okay.
It's been one of my favorites. We actually
I was gonna say we should have just picked it up instead of having them ship it here.
they got it here in like a day.
Yeah.
I paid on, I think it was Thursday, late in the afternoon, because I was having some trouble with the invoice, but it wasn't on their end; it was on my end. But then we, already had the t-shirts delivered by Saturday, which was extremely fast. But found out about the company years back. I think we either saw them at Broad Ripple Music or at that Christmas show that you played at Locals Only. They had these fun.
I have a bunch of their shirts, actually.
Me too. Yeah, I'm usually wearing one of their t-shirts or sweatshirts. Cool thing is they use nice quality t-shirts, so sometimes you get shirts made and they feel like sandpaper, or that they just don't stretch or wear well, and these are nice soft t-shirts. They wear well, they look great.
Yeah, these are good.
I'm super pumped. But yeah, check out their website to see some of their fun stuff too, because they have some Schitt's Creek inspired stuff. They have Parks and Rec, all kinds of really just entertaining stuff that you can get, and even just some Indiana stuff. That I have an Indiana mask that I wear, but a bunch of really cool designs.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and we also have a new design out by local artist and musician Jared Andrews that it's just an alternate logo, which is really fun, that has, a lizard person that you guys will put up so you can check it out as well.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I think that's enough of the business. Kendra, do you have anything that you want to talk about?
No. I think I'm good.
Yeah. Same here.
We covered it.
Well, I hope everybody stays safe and stays home. And yeah. All the things. Be safe, guys.
Yeah, and have, wonderful rest of the weekend if it's still a weekend for you. If not, happy start of the week.
Yep.
Happy whenever you're listening to this.
Yes. All right. Bye.
Cash me outside.
Toodaloo.